Hi, this is Scott, Kilos here, 6 Delta Alpha Yankee, and for today's video, a little bit of a follow-up on my previous video regarding the tactical headset kits for the Walker's Razor and Howard Leight Impact Pro, or rather Impact Sport headsets. And what I want to do is answer a couple of questions that came up in the comments section, as well as, and related to that actually, covering something that I probably should have covered in a little bit greater detail when I did the video. Got kind of excited and glossed over kind of a very important distinction between the two headsets. And what this relates to is how the actual radio traffic is managed within the headsets. And is there any difference? And there definitely is, and it's a pretty fundamental difference. So let me talk first about the Walker Razor and talk a little bit about the actual incoming audio experience with radio. Now, first off, as I mentioned in the video, you will actually hear the radio whether the headset is turned on or turned off. And that is because it appears that the active ear protection circuitry and the actual radio speaker circuitry seem to be split. And they're split in kind of a very simplistic way. So with the headset turned on, you have your normal active ear protection going, so it magnifies the ambient sound and then shunts out at the sound of gunfire or anything reaching a certain sound threshold. So then it shuts down and becomes basically passive earmuffs. But the exact same thing happens whenever any radio traffic comes in. So you've got the headset on, there's nothing going on the radio. When some traffic comes in over the radio, what will happen is the headset will give 100% of the speaker capability to the radio, and it'll shunt the headset. So you will hear the radio traffic, but you will not hear any ambient sound around you. Now, for some people that may be a good thing, for some people that may be a bad thing. If you're working in, for instance, a crowd environment, let's say you're wearing one of these as like an event headset, so you might be working, and I'll give you an example of something very, very non-tactical, and that would be something that a lot of radio clubs do is they offer their services to things like fun runs, marathons, that kind of stuff, and they'll work certain stations throughout the route and then pass traffic back to the race control. That's something the club I used to be involved in, that's something that they tend to do a lot. So in that case, that would actually be an advantage, because when the radio traffic came in, it's basically noise canceling headphones. So you won't hear the crowd noise around you, and you'll hear 100% of the radio traffic coming through. So I may be more inclined, to be honest with you, if I'm working an event like that, to use this headset over the Howard Leight. But for a tactical situation, the Howard Leights may be the advantage, because the way the Howard Leights control the radio traffic is, as a reminder, you will not hear any radio traffic until the headset is actually turned on. So if the headset is not turned on, you will not hear anything coming from the radio through the headset at all. But once you turn the headset on, what's interesting is when it receives message traffic, it's a 50-50 split. You will hear both the ambient noise around you as well as the radio traffic, almost as if you didn't have a headset on at all and you were hearing the traffic coming through a speaker mic. I see that as kind of an advantage within a tactical scenario, because you can still maintain your situational awareness with the noises going on around you, and also be able to hear incoming conversation from other people. For instance, if you're having to trade information back to pass that message traffic forward, you'll still have full command of your hearing, and you'll also hear the radio traffic coming through the speakers. So it's a 50-50 split. Now, both radios, when it comes to volume control, I made a bit of a misstatement. And this was a perceived thing, but in reality what happened was sometimes you do things you don't even realize you do them, and you take in the information in a weird way. And unfortunately, sometimes that gets passed out, and it's incorrect. It's just plain incorrect. The radio volume for both of the headsets is controlled 100% through the radio. Turning the volume knob up and down on either headset, the only thing that adjusts is the actual microphone, or the input coming in through the microphones into the headsets. It's not going to either lower or raise the volume of the radio. All of that must be accomplished by actually turning the volume control knob on the radio to either turn the radio up or turn the radio down. Not that big a deal, but I wanted to clear that up because the way I had phrased it, to be honest with you, was completely incorrect. So I wanted to make sure that I cleared that up before that got any further. Again, not a big deal. All of us are accustomed to controlling our volume that way anyhow. But one thing I do like is, as I mentioned earlier, with the noise canceling capability of this particular headset, you can almost do the same thing, again, if you were in one of those event situations where you had a lot of ambient noise around you that you didn't necessarily care about, and you wanted to have a lot more attention paid to the radio. You could just turn the volume down to its minimum setting. The volume on the radio still remains at its previous setting, so you can hear it'll muffle the sound around you quite a bit, but you'll hear that radio at whatever volume you have the radio set. So I hope that kind of clears that up and answers those questions. But again, in terms of superiority, the Howard Leight wins again with that arrangement because it's very nice. And as I mentioned, the sound quality is so much better on each end, whether it's the ambient sound around you or the actual radio traffic coming through the speaker. It's got a much better, more natural sound coming through the Howard Leights than the Razors do. Again, the Razors tend to be very sharp. It's an appropriate name for this headset. The tone is very sharp, very trebly. Not quite on the level of being uncomfortable in the ears, but verging on it. Whereas the Howard Leights have a much more mellow sound to them. So again, I'm going back to recommending the Howard Leights. But beyond that, that's kind of it. Like I said, wanted to clear a couple things up and sort of explain that situation with how the audio is handled. And again, my recommendation hands down is going to be for the Howard Leights. So with that, I'll bring it to a close. Thank you for watching and or listening. This is Scott, Kilo Sierra 6, Delta Alpha Yankee in Visalia, California. Have a wonderful day.